it finished counting down before I was done. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not why we're here. Welcome back to Coffee with Yvonne, a show for creatives and entrepreneurs. And I know it's been a while, y'all. I know. I was outside. Let's see, where was I? I was in Quebec, Montreal, Paris, Denver, Orlando, San Diego was the last place I was at. So after being fully outside for the past 5 months, we got to get back to the pod. But I wanted to do something different for the season opener of the show. New season, new vibes. I want to do something for the season opener of the show and kind of flip the mic. So what we're going to do for this first episode of Coffee with Yvonne, I'm going to have Jasmine, aka my pudding pop, aka Coffee with Yvonne correspondent, as in she can add that to her resume.
Okay.
Please do. Find her on LinkedIn. I'm going to have her do a mini interview with me so you can get to know me as an individual. I know I could talk about my accomplishments in marketing all day long, but Jasmine is one of the few people who have known me well enough to really say that they actually know me in real life and on the socials. So that is the episode theme for today. Jasmine has full control. I don't know what she's going to ask, but I trust her judgment. And also, Jasmine, my mom is listening.
Okay.
Keep in mind.
Oh my goodness. Hey mom. First of all, hey mom.
You want to say hi?
This is gonna be so fun. So, first of all, thank you for trusting me to interview you. I feel like that's a gift. It's an honor. It's a privilege. So, thank you.
She is the moment.
I'm really excited. So, fun fact: I did theater in high school, so I really love improv. So when I say I prepare, but because we're freestyling and we just vibing, these questions I don't even know. We're gonna just see what happens in this conversation.
Okay. Also, I love that you love improv. I never knew that about you.
Oh my gosh, I love improv so much. Like improv is you know why? Because improv is I feel like it's a skill that most people, if they tried improv, it really helps. And I've seen it work in my corporate life. Like I've been able to just be on the spot, be responsive, think quickly, adapt quickly. And when things shuffle, especially as a marketer,
oh my God,
pivoting, I think improv just naturally helps you with that. So yeah, I love improv.
I love that.
So, okay, we know that you're the marketing guru. We know that you stay on top of trends. You are invested in this industry. And I want to start off, this might be kind of heavy, but I want to start off with, how do you prioritize your wellness as a marketer, as a entrepreneur, as a creative? How are you preserving your wellness?
Well, now you're going into my therapy notes. So I had to say I am still figuring that out. I'm kind of sometimes trash when it comes to my own personal wellness. I think because I am a perfectionist at heart. It was just something I'm always working on. I struggle with perfectionism. And in that perfectionism, I have such high standards for myself that I can cause my own burnout. Right.
Okay.
One of the things I'm learning how to do and embrace more are moments of silence. There are times in the morning, and I've even ignored my own mom's phone calls, but there are times in the morning where I just don't talk. I don't talk for a good hour, sometimes 2 hours, and I just center myself and I start my day. And then when it comes to creativity, I find creativity by going on walks. So I love going on trails. You see me, going on trails at the parks. And now I'm starting to embrace even more. I started Pilates weeks ago. So I'll become a Pilates girly.
I want to be a Pilates girl so bad. So maybe we'll have to talk offline because there's some things brewing, but I want to be a Pilates girl. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But what I love about Pilates is it's an exercise, but it also makes you still. So you're not in the flow class that I'm in, which is a Black owned location over in Woodmore, Club Pilates. You are doing the exercise, but you also have to take deep breaths. You also have to center your core and this and the other. So you're not rushing to do movement to movement. And the last thing that I do as well, I watch a lot of trash TV. I mean, I love a good documentary, make me think like, ooh, did not know that. But trash helps prioritize my wellness because it allows me to open my mind. So I'm not overthinking something. I'm just like diving into people's stories. Like, for example, on Love is Blind, when Tyler had them 3 kids that we did not.
Oh, so I actually didn't watch this season, but when I didn't intentionally because one, I'm like, this is where we live, and I was like, I just don't need to know. I don't need to know. It is not well for me. But when I saw these clips, I said, oh, it's I can't. It's just too much. It's too much.
But like this season learned about Tyler and his 3 kids, Hannah being a bully, Ramses and them 2 little sad braid plaits that he had on the side that he should cut off.
Someone said dreadettes, and someone was like, y'all made him cut his dreadettes off, and I screamed.
First of all, he looked like he was like a new version of Al DeBarge, like with that hairstyle. Yeah. But that's not why we're here. So in terms of incorporating my wellness, those are the 3 things that I have learned how to do, and prioritizing saying no to things I don't want to do. If I don't want to go, I'm not going.
And at all. In that. Okay.
You know, and I think because I used to be, and I'm still moving out of that, such a people pleaser that I used to feel bad, like, oh, I can't make this, I can't make that. And I would find myself running everywhere. And now if I don't want to go, or if I don't want to have company, if I don't want to talk to you, I'm not doing it.
That's real.
I'm not.
I think that's just with the beauty of us getting older. It's like our boundaries just get firmer. Like you can't force me to do what I do not want to do. Like
them boundaries about to look like the Great Wall of China in a few years if I keep it up. Like and having like a therapist too, because I go to therapy bi-weekly. My therapist is a Black woman who's around my age, who's from this area. Having a therapist that allows me to speak freely, like I don't have to worry about being fully like judged. She just allows me to be. And in releasing that to her, I don't have to put the burden on other people to fix my problems. So yeah.
Ooh, okay. We opened up. I mean, to my fault, we opened up deep, but this was good. I think people need to hear that. I think people who are creatives and we wear so many hats and we juggle so many things, like we have to prioritize. We are no good to anyone if we're not good to ourselves. And so I really appreciate that insight. So curious, this is a kind of a 2-part. If you weren't in marketing, what would you be doing? And because you're in marketing, why do you love it?
Okay, I've thought about this career. All right, bear with me. Take
us on the journey. Okay.
So remember when Legally Blonde came out?
Absolutely. I wanted to be a lawyer. Hello?
Okay, work with me here. Legally Blonde actually inspired me to want to go to law school. So I honestly, and you can ask my mama, I honestly considered going to law school to study copyright law.
Okay.
Yes, because my initial thought was I wanted to take my creativity, because I have my degree in advertising, art, and marketing. I wanted to take my creativity and put that into a space that could be impactful on the legal side. So helping other creatives protect their work. And the best way that you can do that a lot of times is by being behind the scenes in those corporate spaces or working in like litigation law, policy. So I really did consider going to law school. The other career I considered doing, this is kind of embarrassing.
Oh no, safe space. This is a safe space.
I honestly considered being a model.
Why would that be embarrassing?
It's a little embarrassing because like models, like it seems like such a shallow career, but I was originally, Jazz, supposed to be 5'10". I had plans for that height. Jazz. I really did.
I wanted to be a cover girl, so I not at all. I feel like that's embarrassing. I still want to be a cover girl, please.
Like I really want. Like when I saw Top Model and Takara and this and the other, I was like, oh, I could do this too. I'm a cute little girl, whatever. I mean, then I was still in my awkward phase because I didn't have contacts, but here we are. But I felt that I had a little something that I could, and plus you see my mama, she's beautiful. So I really did think about, I want to be a plus size model, and I did try out for a competition. So I ended up being like a semi-finalist for the Ashley Stewart competition.
Oh my God. You've never told me. That is so cool. I love that.
So yeah, and then Another career I considered that I almost did, I got into the TJ Maxx buyers program.
I could totally
So,
see you being a buyer. I could totally see you doing like, oh yeah, I could totally see that. I could
yes,
absolutely see
I
that.
got into their program. The only caveat was that I had to pay for myself to move up to Burlington. I think it was Massachusetts.
Mhm.
And what people don't realize is when you go into these fashion careers, hence why I left the fashion industry, um, it's very expensive unless you come from money. You're not making any money, you're getting paid peanuts. So when I got into the program, I was still at Bloomie's at the time, working full time and going back and forth to New York for work stuff. And I really, really wanted to take that job,
Mhm.
but I didn't have the means to go up there and fully support myself to do that job. So I
Mhm.
had to turn it down.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like we're at this stage in our world where not that it's a second act or a pivot, but like you could always pick that dream back up, which is it's exciting. I'm curious to see how that would, if it happens, like how it would unfold. Okay, so the other half is why do you love marketing, and why are you still in the industry?
So I guess I will go into a bit of my second act. So I love marketing because I've always been a creative child. Again, you can ask my mama. Mom knows everything. When I was a kid, fun story, I got an assignment where we have vocabulary words, and the assignment was to take your vocabulary words and put them into sentences.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, me being extra, I said I don't want to do no sentences because everybody's going to do sentences, and I wrote stories
Oh
using the
wow.
vocabulary words. And they were funny stories to the point my teacher would purposely give us more vocabulary words so I could create more funny stories, right? And these are stories that legit came from my head using the vocabulary words that had people cracking up laughing. They were fantasy kind of stories, right? And I didn't know then that me writing stories was me being creative or a marketer. I didn't know then that me having my Barbie dream house that I got when I was 8 was the spark of my creativity and all the stories I would put together. Um, so when I went into marketing, I kind of fell into it. I took an art history class in college. It was Romanticism and Impressionism. I will never forget it. And something just went off in my head in that moment. And I looked at this piece and I said, I was starting to ask all these questions. And she said, "You have a really good creative eye." I said, "What is that?"
Mm-hmm.
What is the creative eye? And she said, "You're able to see things other people cannot see. You put the pieces together from this one painting." She said, "You pulled out 5 different themes from a painting I just gave you backstory on." And in that moment, I knew if I have this natural talent, what can I do with it?
Yeah.
So when I was in college, I directed my college's first ever charity fashion show for the Black Student Union. I put together the visual concepts. I put together the advertising. I did the outreach. I got all the clothes sponsored. Everything was taken care of. I even got money from the student union to help pay for things that were not covered in the budget I put together. In college, mind you. I even put together, and I still have a copy somewhere, the actual programs for the events, and got my internship at EPA, my mom's agency, to pay for it. So they use it in their comp materials, and they taught me how to put together an actual program booklet, which again is marketing down to the design. They taught me all of that. So I fell into this career, but I fought it when I was a child because I thought I was weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't understand my creativity was a gift. I didn't understand that the way my brain worked was a gift. I just thought I was this quirky, weird child who could remember a jingle from a commercial like that, or who was able to take something and create a whole story out of it, or who would walk around her blanket, her quilt that her mom made her, crochet blanket, and pretend she was a princess, or make all these different imagination things. I didn't know any of that. I just thought I was weird. Turns out I was a creative the whole time.
Most of the creatives we are weird. Like
We are. We're weird.
we're
Yeah.
unique. You were definitely unique.
So I just had. I'm sorry.
I,
I'm still trained. I'm still trained.
I should have known, like when I said the word, like I should have known that that would have been your proper response, is to yell that out. I don't know why I thought that you would not do that.
No, it's still in me.
Well, here we are. Here we are. That's actually really cool. I did not know that. So I'm wondering, to the people who listen, maybe they are marketers, maybe they are creatives, but more importantly, I think like all of us in some capacity are storytellers. And so what would you say to the person that has a story, maybe is intrigued by stories, but just doesn't know how to translate their weirdness to the marketplace? Like, what would that look like, even for you? Like, you work in this, you work with clients in this, and I mean, I think part of it is giftedness. Like, you just have a natural gift to do it. But to
Mm-hmm.
the people who are like, well, content creators are always saying, you tell a story, use your story, and we love that. But then people, I'm sure, are sitting here like, well, how? What do I do, and what does that look like practically? So, could you speak to that, and I guess give advice, if you have any, on what that could look like practically for someone?
I will do my best. I think the first thing that has to take a step back from that, I sound so corporate. Who am I and what happened? I'm so corporate. Anyway, to take a step back, down to the
I
end.
hear the corporate. I hear it. Sorry, the second time I was like, yeah, this is like we're in a team, like we're on a Zoom. It's giving we're on a call.
It's giving, share your screen. Do you have meeting notes and agenda?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Doc up. Yeah.
Oh, Lord have mercy. This will be on Asana afterwards.
Right.
Anyway,
Oh goodness. Yeah. It definitely get corporate.
I mean, I've been doing this for over 12 years, so it's kind of ingrained
Yeah.
at this point. To take a step back, I think people have to realize when you're creating content, and I'm just going to look at it from a content perspective because that's one of the examples you brought up. Think about how you want your content to make people feel, right? So when you create your content, do you want people to feel joy? Do you want them to feel a sense of belonging? Do you want them to feel like they could be at that place or want to be at that place? Because I think sometimes a piece de resistance that's missing when people, yes, I did that. I know. The piece de resistance that's missing when people create content is they're just slapping something together. And then they're taking the most trending track and they're dropping it on the socials. And when I see that, I look at their content and then the song that they chose and it's not matching. And I'm like, I don't feel anything. I just feel like you're just doing something because you want it to trend or get views or something. A creative is not doing it for solely the recognition. They're doing it because they have a passion for it. So if you want your content or to be able to tell that story, also study your content, study yourself, right? So I'm always studying myself.
Sorry, say that one more time for the people, because that was good to me. So just one more time. Just one more time.
Always study your content and study yourself.
Wow. Okay.
Because one thing that I do that I don't think people realize I do, I will create a piece of content, whether it's my pod, TikTok or whatever, and I will listen to it multiple times. I'll listen to it on my phone. I'll listen to it on my TV through like AirPlay or whatever. I'll listen to it in the car. Same thing with content. I'll put it together, watch it in preview mode on a smaller screen, then do the bigger screen, and then I'll take a step back from it, come back the next day, watch it again. And I'll have my own personal notes. And even when it goes live, I'll log out and log in from my computer to watch it that way and have my own personal notes for myself. Like, okay, you could have cut this here. You could have made this a little smoother. So I'm always a student of my own work and being open to seeing that other content creators, what they're doing can also be inspiration. I know we're all fighting for the algorithm. I know we all fighting for our lives, but there's a reason why people like you, Jazz, the content you create is authentic. You don't do that to yourself. You create authentic content that speaks to your audience, and I do pay attention. You know, I'll be paying attention.
I know you do. I know you do, and I'm grateful. I just be like, okay, stop looking, please stop looking.
But I pay attention because you give me something worth paying attention to. There are so many people out there who do the get ready with me's, show you this outfit, show you that outfit. Well, one, you're not styling it. Let's talk about that. All you're doing is put the t-shirt on, you slapped a pair of heels and walked out the door with that bag that you bought from Alibaba. But we're not going to talk about that. That's not why we're here.
Alibaba.
Yes, I went there. But when it comes to going back to your original question, with content and marketers, people aren't students enough anymore.
Mm-hmm.
People, in my opinion, get their degrees or they get like a viral video and all of a sudden I think that they're an expert. Even with my years of experience, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
I'm still reading. I'm still studying on purpose because I want to be the best at what I do. How can I be the best if I just settle in my own knowledge?
Please quote that. Please make that a quote. That's so good. That is so. Please quote that. Okay.
You got to remind me because you know I'm going to forget.
I know. But that needs to be a clip and a quote. Is what it needs to be. A clipping and a quote.
But how can I be the best if I settle in my own knowledge? How can I be the best if I'm not choosing to learn from people who have gone beyond me, but also people who are coming up behind me? Mm-hmm. And then there's also responsibility for those who are coming up behind you to give them insight on what can make them even greater without looking for nothing in return. Giving back to your community because you want to, not because you're looking for a clap or a pat on the back. Do it because you care, because that builds a sense of community and also makes you more valuable as an individual, that you're sowing seeds into someone else's life.
Yeah.
So be a student. Be a student who is also studious of yourself and studies other people, and then be a student in making sure that the next class coming behind you is going to be even more successful by being their blueprint.
So to add to that, where do you draw the line between studying yourself and then just critiquing yourself? Because I do feel like there's a small lane and it's a very narrow where it's like done is better than perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like there should be some level of improvement as you continue to push out content or as you continue to work on different, marketing campaigns. So where do you personally draw the line between, okay, I've critiqued enough or I've studied enough versus now I'm just critiquing and I'm like looking and nitpicking off of the content and the work that you do?
So I know I reference this movie a lot, but I always think about The Devil Wears Prada.
Because it's one of the best movies that to ever exist. But that's because you and I both just love, rightfully so, love that movie.
I love that movie so much.
It's so good. I might watch it tonight just because we talked about it.
I just might. But I look at it from a Miranda Priestley perspective. Miranda had the book. And for those who are not familiar with the movie, in the movie, there's this part called The Book where the current issue of Runway is taken with Miranda each night, and Miranda comes back with her notes. Miranda, in turn, is not criticizing her work. She knows the work she put out is the best work she could put out. But now, as an editor-in-chief, she's now looking at the content that was created or this magazine that was created, taking a step back and looking at it from a consumer perspective. Like, what could be better here, right? So it's a two-side thing. When you're creating your content, think like an editor. When you're looking at your content, think like a consumer. What will the consumer want to walk away with? How should they feel?
I'm gonna just write it. Just keep sharing. I'm taking notes.
But what should they feel? So again, when I look at my own content, I remove me from the equation. I think, okay, when you come on camera, do you feel like the authentic Yvonne, or are you putting on a front? Can I feel that through the camera? I notice that you're, trying to move your jacket a little bit more, or hike your pants up a bit. Just let your body be your body. Yeah. Or, oh, girl, you should have brushed your hair a little bit more before you got on that camera now. I know you was in a rush, but you could at least tuck them edges behind it and look a little rough. Still got to think about presentation. Mm-hmm. But it's little things that I notice as a consumer, because if I was watching someone else's video, I would have the same notes. At the same time, I'm listening as a consumer with, what am I walking away with from this content? Am I walking away entertained? Am I walking away informed? Or am I walking away thinking, ooh, I should try that?
I'm sorry, I'm taking notes. I'm legitimately taking notes. That was like, I'm legitimately writing this down. That is so good. I didn't mean for that to bless me the way that just blessed me. So I'm a little taken aback. I just wasn't prepared for my own wow, and it's so true. I think the create like an editor and watch like a consumer, I think that's going to help a lot of people. I think there's just so much in that, and I think it alleviates that pressure to just be, because the thing is, like, you're not comparing yourself to any, as I heard you talk, you're not comparing yourself to anyone else. You're comparing yourself to your last piece of content, your last piece of work. You're comparing yourself to you. So it negates the, oh, I'm being like her. I don't want to end up like him. I don't want to be like this other person. It's like, no, I'm focused and I'm consuming and watching and creating against me. And I just think that is very helpful. I think it alleviates a lot of pressure. I'm sure I've felt before, the whole imposter syndrome narrative that people have. Like, you're in your own lane, but you can, again, create like an editor and watch like a consumer. Like, that is so good. I don't know. I just really, that blessed me. If nothing else, I got something out of that. So that might not be for no one else but me. And I'm going to just say thank you. So,
I mean, you're my pudding pop, you know. Yeah, I don't mind sharing my thoughts on things. And then to go back to the earlier part of your question, in terms of career, I would have loved to explore those things. However, the Lord has put me where I'm supposed to be.
Right.
And I truly believe that. You know, I truly believe I'm supposed to be behind the scenes creating that impact. I truly believe that in the next phase of my life, I don't even have it fully planned out. I'm just trusting the direction I'm supposed to go in. But one of the things I would love to do in the latter part of my life is teach at the collegiate level.
I can see that. I mean, you'd be a great Professor Pink Dollhouse would just be so cute.
Oh, Professor Pearson.
Okay, so sorry about that. I forgot who I was talking to. So curious. Now I know you mentioned you like watching like trash TV and all that stuff, but what are you musing on as far as like creator and content and marketing? Like, what books are you reading? What news articles? What blogs do you feed yourself? And I mean, because one thing about you, and anyone that has listened to your podcast or has watched or has like followed you, you are very informed about industry trends, which I reference you before I go. I don't have the things you post. I'm like, oh, I didn't know about that. Or I might have seen something about it. I'm like, oh, okay, she posted it, so I don't have to send it to her because she already knows. So I'm curious about just what you muse on, like when you're at home and you got TV playing in the background, like what articles are you reading? What magazines do you like to read through? And how do you continue to feed that and stay on top of that?
Yeah, I kind of, again, follow the Miranda formula, or really, it's something I saw on Shark Tank. So Mark Cuban is one of my favorite Shark Tank folks. And one of the things I've learned watching Shark Tank since season 1 is he always talked about learning from different industries, learning from different forms of media. So when I consume media, I'm reading Essence. Essence, I've subscribed to. I read the New York Times. I'm subscribed to their newsletter. I read the Business of Fashion podcast, and I listen to it. I watch the news every morning. It sounds so boring, but I legit start with Jumi Olabanje every morning on Channel 4. Me and Jumi, we locked in. And I listen to the news to find out what's going on. And I get some of my marketing news from there too, under the Business Insider. I'm also doing things like making sure I'm tapped into cultural media sites, because I think there's an undervalue of what cultural media sites bring to the table. So I read Afrotech. I read The Root. I even tap into the Shade Room. Now, I take that with a grain of salt.
Okay, let me sip my tea.
I take the Shade Room with a grain of salt. However, you got to meet the people where they are when it comes to information. And whether it's true or not, I do further research from reputable media sites to see if this information is correct. I do listen to a lot of podcasts. So I listen to The Read faithfully each week. That's my entertainment. Same thing with Gin and Juice. It's the podcast that Kev on Stage's wife, Mrs. Kev on Stage, and her sister, they do. And then I'm also listening to some marketing focused podcasts and things like that. But I consume a mix of media. And when it comes to actually like reading books, I currently have 3 books that are on my library to read. Influencer Marketing, Leaders Eat Last, and How to Create Inclusive Marketing Strategies. Those are 3 books I just picked up.
Okay.
That I want to read, because again, I'm a constant student. So when I take that knowledge mixed with the entertainment and then the industry insider knowledge, it creates a balance. Because I think sometimes marketers are so focused on, here are 5 ways to make your video go viral.
Yeah.
Here are 5 things you're doing wrong. Blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't translate well. You know I'm telling the truth, though. You know I'm telling the truth.
This sports announcer voice was nuts.
But you know I'm telling the truth. And when I started noticing that more on my feed, I said, yo, y'all making marketing intimidating. It's not very cutesy. It's not very demure, nor is it mindful.
Hello, somebody.
Like, what are we doing? No. And especially for Black creatives who may want to enter this space of marketing, you can't make it seem so unattainable. You're making a career something they would never want to walk into, because guess what? We need their perspective, because the way they get these ads wrong, I'm gonna let that go.
Mm-hmm.
Let it go. But the content I consume inspires the content I create, right? So when I'm doing things like the marketing magics, I was studying the Barbie campaign for weeks. You know,
yeah.
when I did the Renaissance tour one, which was like multiple videos, studied for weeks. Same thing with, what other one did I do? Mean Girls. And I'm working on one right now for a movie that's about to come out very soon. I'm super excited about. So those are things that I keep in mind, because when I'm consuming all this content, I'm thinking, how do I break this down in a way that does not intimidate my audience, even if they're not marketers? And I look at my story insights, and majority of the people who are looking at it on the Pink Dollhouse marketing side are non-marketers. But they come to see my content on stories because I break it down so simply, that in a bite-sized way, that they understand it. And that they don't feel like, I don't want to consume this because I'm confused. They're like, oh, so that means basically she got a new bag. Yes. That means she made more money. Yes. That means she's, diversifying her portfolio or whatever. It's simple, but I need to make it simple as a teacher.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes complete sense. Goodness, my goodness. Okay, I just
preach, preacher.
No, but really, preacher, like that. That's so good. Okay, so I know you mentioned you don't have your full 5-year, 10-year, 20-year plan, but I am curious. Where do you think, and what do you hope the industry goes to? I think a lot of it, like, because I've seen some articles, I've seen some conversations online as far as like, is influencing dead, or is marketing blah 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 dead? And at the same time, this is about to be a $1 trillion industry. Like, it's set to continue to go. So I'm curious, just for anyone that is a marketer or someone that's just curious about our world and our industry, what are you seeing? Like, what would you say the state of play is right now for marketing creatives? And then what trends, or what are your predictions? And I'm also just curious, because I'm sure we're gonna have a conversation about this, and so I'm like, let me just ask her publicly, so whatever she says here, she has to say here, she has to watch her tongue. So let me ask you publicly first before I talk to you privately about it.
No, you're fine. Okay, so let's take a step back. To my fellow creatives and marketers, we can't limit ourselves to one area of specialty anymore. We can't. If you want to survive in this industry and not become a marketing dinosaur or creative dinosaur, do not limit yourself to one area. So creatives, don't just allow for your business acumen to live on TikTok. Spread that shit out. It's my podcast. I'll cuss. Spread that shit out. Spread it out. If you find that your content is doing well on this side, start a newsletter. Build your community outside of these social norms.
Please start a newsletter.
Because the way this government's set up, and I'm not going to get too much into it, that content could be gone tomorrow. Can we talk about the legal side of it real quick? Okay, the moment you put that content online, guess what happens, y'all? You don't own it no more. We're doing it on a social platform. Why do you think I got a podcast?
Hello?
Why do you think I have a podcast? So I can own my content. So I can own my voice. But when you put everything on one platform, they could change the rules tomorrow and you're gone.
And just to interject, don't be afraid to not follow the platforms that seem like they're the most popping. Because here's my thing, like, I know as the creator side of me, I know my main platforms, and for a while I found myself trying to be everywhere and everything to everyone, and I burn myself out. And then I'm like, I'm not reaching my goals because I'm not locked in, like you mentioned earlier. So I think to that point, like diversifying where you show up, but certainly if it doesn't make sense to be on TikTok for you, don't be on TikTok. Like the newsletters, the things you own, your own website,
there's other digital platforms outside of social media.
Yeah.
And another thing too, for creatives, you don't have to solely live on a visual platform to be successful, right? You can have impact. I know everyone wants to talk about how blogging is dead. Blogging is actually making a comeback because people can't write. I'm sorry.
People need to read again. I'm absolutely.
They need to read again. You could be a reputable source in that space. People don't understand that there are things like speaking engagements. There's thought leadership that we're not tapping enough into in those spaces. When you limit yourself to one area of focus, you're also limiting the opportunities that you can have outside that key area. Because think about it, you're doing great on TikTok. Why can't you do a speaking engagement? You're already speaking to an audience. You just can't see them.
Yeah.
You know? And then when it comes to the girlies who are looking at the corporate space of it, one thing I want us to think about with AI rising up, one, we're going to have a job because AI is going to need to have a human behind it for the ethical part. There is, in my opinion, going to be a merge between legal and marketing. So if you're in school right now, consider getting a minor in like legal studies or taking ethics classes, because the way AI is set up, it's going to start getting a lot of these brands in trouble who are looking for shortcuts and not having a person who is checking these things in the back before that content goes live. Because AI being created by people who don't look like us a lot of times, they're building in digital stereotypes. So you could type in, I need African-American woman, who looks like this, and it could come up with the nastiest looking stereotype you've ever seen. And that person who does not have a cultural lens will think it's okay. It's going to be new jobs created that are ethically going to check AI on the marketing side to protect a brand, in my opinion. There's also going to be things like, as content continues to grow, people are now going to want to start protecting their content. There are going to be more people who will need to understand the legal implications behind stealing someone else's work. I'm looking at you, Shein, but stealing someone else's work, Temu, and the consequences of using someone else's images for your promotional campaign.
Yeah.
Because you can't keep doing that. Stop playing with people.
Yeah.
But if you want to look at the future careers, I think marketing, legal, and ethics are going to merge together. I think there's going to be a further need for people who not only create content, but know how to manage content-focused campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a creative who knows how to create content, start looking into these corporate jobs in like production, behind the scenes. If you already know how to edit video, you could be a content editor. Mm-hmm. There's money in that. And they don't have people who look like us who are managing those jobs. Mm-hmm. And also, it doesn't have to be a sexy title to make you money. You don't all have to work for Nike. You don't all have to work for Netflix or Hulu or anyone else. You can work for a science-based organization. Mm-hmm. You can work for a bigger organization that's not considered out there but has huge impact. And you get paid bands on bands on bands because they need you and you're in demand to do that job.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, that was good to me. Okay, I know.
Last thing, Jazz. Also, I think there's going to be more of a need for business writing on the marketing side, because y'all can't keep using ChatGPT to build out your marketing plans and don't know how to execute it, nor can you write an email. So, yes, I said it out loud. I've seen some of y'all work. Please take a business writing class, because I can tell when you use ChatGPT. I can tell. Okay, go ahead.
Now, how am I supposed to follow up?
Smart, you can do it.
Listen, ChatGPT has its benefits, but it's an additive tool, and I think a lot of people have just become very reliant. And I understand that, like you have it all requires work, so
yes.
It's hard.
Yes, and don't try to do a Uno skip you draw 4 plus Uno out. Well, in reality, all you got is a draw 4. Don't do that.
Or reverse.
Reverse back to you.
No special cards.
Right. Reverse back to you because you ain't got nothing left.
Like, be for real. Be for real. That is so funny. Okay, I know we're wrapping up, but I just want you to offer any okay, what are you oh this is like therapy notes. This is gonna be fun.
That's fine.
What are you most proud of? And you have a lot to be proud of, but
I do.
what are you most proud of?
I would say my resilience.
Mm.
My resilience has made me into the person I am today
Mm-hmm.
because even at the times I wanted to give up, I could not give up on myself.
Mm-hmm.
Even at the worst times, I wanted to give up. When the door was slammed in my face multiple times, when it was said quietly, not to my face, but that they didn't want the black girl on their marketing team. When I was told I was too big to work in certain areas of fashion, I didn't fit the body type or the standard, whatever. When I was told I was crazy for wanting to start a business or work in marketing or do a podcast, all the things that everyone told me I could not do, I said, I am resilient enough to learn, push through, and do it. And I'm going to do it. And when I do it, you're going to watch me work.
And guess who watching? Come on, sip it. Okay, this really will be the last question. What do you feel like is next for Coffee with Yvonne? I mean, I know there's some things that are behind the curtain, so we can't talk about everything. But what you can share, what are you most excited about for Coffee with Yvonne?
I would say I'm excited about continuing to give people space to tell their stories. Because the show, while it says Coffee with Yvonne, it is about people having a platform to tell their stories from audiences that are usually silent.
That blink is insane. If y'all watching my audio, y'all, Yvonne be doing this blink. She has a very specific blink, and it's giving cerulean. It's giving very much Miranda Priestley, and I did not take her seriously.
Cerulean. Oh, you think this has nothing to do? You go to your closet.
I got you started.
You still like that lumpy blue sweater, for instance, because you want to tell the world you take yourself too seriously to care about the clothes that you put on your back. Well, in reality, that's sweater blue.
Yvonne, I did not need for you to open the vault. I didn't.
Jazz, I know that speech. I know it down. I know it down because Andy was wrong for what she did because that sweater was ugly and it was lumpy, and she should have never worn them ugly little clogs to the office.
See, we talk about Miranda's speech, but what we don't talk enough about is how Stanley Tucci's side eye as she was being dragged. I was like, "This is my people." He said, "Trying to fix and just putting the belt on the skirt." Like he was just like, I mean, I don't know.
No, you know who we keep missing? Emily in the back because what?
Yes.
She slid. I feel like this.
I said, okay, so we actually have to watch this movie tonight. Like I need to.
We do. We'll have notes.
We'll have notes, but thank you so much for letting me host. This was fun. I like this. This was cool. And I mean, truthfully, I did take notes. Like I really did write things down.
I believe you. And I forgot all the quotes I said. I'm going to listen.
No, it's okay because I wrote them down.
I really want it pink.
Yeah, I really wrote it out. But I hope that your listeners and the viewers really did hear, like you dropped some really, really great gems, and I mean, bless me, so I'm sure it blessed everyone that's tuning in. So thank you, and I'm excited for this new season. I'm excited for more episodes. I'm excited for all that you got a lot. You got a lot. Your kitchen's full. It's giving Thanksgiving.
It is, and most of it is ordered from a restaurant because I ain't cook it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thank you so much for taking the time to interview me today. I trust you more than anyone. You are the only person I would trust to do this interview because I love my pudding pop. And I'm really excited for the season. So the next episode coming up will be more focused on, we're doing content a little differently this season. We're going to do a mix of interviews and what's the brew, so marketing news. So stay tuned. But if you want to learn more about me and my business, go ahead and visit pinkdollhousemarketing.com. You can find me on the socials. I changed my name recently, so I probably forget it.
Oh, yeah. You did change your name.
Yeah, I did change my name. I'm going to put it in the meeting notes because I got to look it up. I don't know my name right now, but I am on Instagram. I am on TikTok, aka the Clock app, if you would like to find me for all the things. And I can't wait to chat with you soon. Okay, bye. Coffee with Yvonne is produced and edited by Yvonne Pearson. Coffee with Yvonne is created by Pink Dollhouse Marketing. You can catch the latest episodes by subscribing to Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.